Canada. A land so vast, so extreme, and so full of natural oddities that even lifelong Canadians sometimes can't believe the geography is real. From lakes that defy gravity to hills that never stop burning, this country is like an open-world game where every region unlocks a new glitch in nature. But every single one of these wonders, 100% real. So, let's uncover the wildest, weirdest, and most mind-bending geography facts about Canada. The ones that sound completely fake until you realize they actually exist. The Sudbury Impact Crater. When space hit Canada, deep beneath Ontario lies a scar so massive it can be seen from space. It's called the Sudbury Basin, and it's the second largest impact crater on Earth. Around 1.8 billion years ago, a meteor the size of a mountain slammed into what's now Sudbury at unimaginable speed. The explosion vaporized rock, carved out a basin 130 kilometers wide, and reshaped the planet's crust. The aftermath created one of the richest mineral deposits on Earth: nickel, copper, platinum, treasures born from cosmic destruction. Today, the entire city of Sudbury sits in the crater's remains, living proof that the ground beneath Canadians' feet was once ground zero for an ancient apocalypse. The Smoking Hills, where the earth never cools. Far up in the Northwest Territories, on the coast of Cape Bathurst, there are hills that have been on fire for centuries. They're called the Smoking Hills, and they aren't burning because of humans. The earth set them alight. Beneath these hills lie layers of shale rich in sulfur and bitumen. When exposed to oxygen, they ignite, releasing thick clouds of smoke that pour from the cliffs and paint the air orange. It's like a natural furnace that never burns out, a flame that has been flickering since explorers first documented it in the 1800s. Imagine standing there, Arctic wind biting your face, watching the ground itself breathe fire. The St. Lawrence Estuary, where fresh meets salt. Flowing out from the Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence Estuary is where fresh water and salt water meet in an epic, slow-motion collision. It stretches 250 kilometers, one of the largest and deepest estuaries on the planet. Here, water from the Great Lakes, the biggest collection of fresh water on Earth, mixes with the Atlantic Ocean, creating a dynamic zone teeming with life. Whales breach where the rivers meet the sea, while ships carrying trade goods navigate the same waters. It's one of those rare places where geography and biology intertwine so perfectly. It feels like nature showing off. The world's oldest water, a 2-billion-year-old time capsule. Hidden deep in a mine in Timmins, Ontario, scientists discovered something that seems straight out of science fiction: the oldest pool of water on Earth, trapped beneath the surface for nearly 2 billion years. This water hasn't seen daylight since before dinosaurs existed. It's been sealed off in rock, untouched, pure, and ancient. When researchers finally reached it, the water still shimmered with gases that told stories of Earth's youth. If water could talk, this would be the oldest storyteller on the planet. The 5-minute climate shift. In Alberta's Pincher Creek, weather doesn't just change, it transforms like magic. One winter day, temperatures jumped from a frigid minus 19 degrees Celsius to a warm plus 22 degrees Celsius in just 1 hour. That's a 41-degree shift, the fastest ever recorded in Canada. The culprit? Chinook winds, warm, dry gusts rushing down the Rockies that locals affectionately call snow eaters. One moment it's a frozen wasteland, the next you're reaching for sunglasses. It's like living inside a natural hairdryer with a sense of humor. Canada's giant trio of islands. Canada doesn't just have islands. It has some of the biggest on Earth. Baffin Island alone is so massive it could swallow Great Britain twice over. Then there's Victoria Island, roughly the size of England, and Ellesmere Island, which stretches into the Arctic and is draped in glaciers. Together, these islands make Canada home to 3 of the world's top 10 largest islands. They're places of ice deserts, towering mountains, and silence so deep it almost hums. Few will ever visit them, but they define the upper edge of the world. Magnetic Hill, where cars roll uphill. Near Moncton, New Brunswick, there's a hill that makes no sense at all. Locals call it Magnetic Hill, and it's one of Canada's most famous roadside illusions. You stop your car, put it in neutral, and watch as it appears to roll uphill on its own. The secret? Perspective. The horizon line disappears, and the landscape tricks your eyes into seeing an uphill slope when you're actually going down. It's an optical illusion so convincing that even skeptics leave scratching their heads. Gravity doesn't break here. Your brain just does. Canada's Dead Sea, the lake you can't sink in. In Saskatchewan lies Little Manitou Lake, a body of water so salty you can float without even trying. It's often called Canada's version of the Dead Sea. The lake's mineral-rich waters come from underground springs that feed it with salts and minerals, creating a dense, buoyant experience. People come here to float effortlessly, read a book on the surface, or just enjoy the strange sensation of defying gravity. Locals swear by its healing properties. Nature's spa in the middle of the prairies. The largest island within an island. Yes, this one sounds fake, but it's real. Deep within the Arctic lies the world's largest island within an island, located inside Victoria Island. It's so remote and so small, just about 4 acres, that almost no one has ever set foot there. Imagine an island inside a lake, on an island inside a sea. It's like Russian nesting dolls made of land and water, a puzzle the planet built just to mess with cartographers. Mount Thor, Earth's tallest vertical drop. If superheroes existed, they'd probably live here. Mount Thor, in Nunavut, stands as a granite monolith with the tallest vertical drop on Earth, a 1,250-meter, 4,100-foot, near vertical cliff that actually overhangs at 105 degrees. It's steeper than straight down. Climbers from around the world come to face it, drawn by its mythic danger. The drop is so extreme that if you fell, you wouldn't hit the wall. You'd be falling into open air. Its beauty and terror carved into stone. The smallest desert in the world. When someone says Canada, you don't think desert, but nestled in the Yukon lies the Carcross Desert, the smallest desert on Earth. At just over 2.5 square kilometers, it's a pocket of golden dunes surrounded by mountains. The truth, though, is that it's not technically a desert. It's the dried remains of an ancient glacial lake, where sand continues to blow in from nearby Lake Bennett. Still, standing there, barefoot on the warm dunes, you'd swear you're in the Sahara, until you turn around and see snow-capped peaks. The Spotted Lake, nature's polka dots. In British Columbia, there's a lake that looks like it belongs in a surreal painting. It's called Spotted Lake, and every summer it transforms into a natural mosaic of circles, bright blues, greens, yellows, and whites. As the water evaporates, mineral deposits crystallize and form hundreds of little pools, each with its own color and texture. It's mesmerizing, sacred to local indigenous peoples, and one of the most photogenic natural wonders in Canada. The earth literally paints with salt here. A piece of France just off the coast. 25 kilometers from Newfoundland, you'll find Saint-Pierre and Miquelon, tiny islands that belong not to Canada, but to France. The streets, the language, the euro. It's all French. This archipelago is the last remaining piece of France in North America. A living postcard of Parisian charm sitting in Canadian waters. Visitors can eat croissants for breakfast and return to Canada by lunch. Geography doesn't get more ironic than this. Mount Snowdome, 1 peak, 3 oceans. In the Canadian Rockies stands a mountain where rainfall chooses its destiny. Mount Snowdome is one of only 2 places in North America where water flows into 3 different oceans. Meltwater from its glaciers travels west to the Pacific, north to the Arctic, and east to the Atlantic via Hudson Bay. A single raindrop falling on this peak can end up thousands of kilometers away in 3 different directions. It's like a natural water traffic controller for the continent. The Bay of Fundy, where rivers flow backwards. Between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia lies the Bay of Fundy, home to the highest tides on Earth. The water here rises and falls up to 16 meters, roughly the height of a 4-story building. During high tide, the force is so strong that the St. John River literally reverses its flow, sending salt water surging upstream. The result? Massive whirlpools, roaring rapids, and a living demonstration of nature's raw power. No special effects needed, just gravity doing its thing. The gravity shortage of Hudson Bay. Here's one that bends the mind. Scientists discovered that gravity around Hudson Bay is slightly weaker than it is in most parts of the world. It's not enough to float away, but enough to be measurable. The theory? Thousands of years ago, massive ice sheets covered the region, compressing the Earth's crust. When the ice melted, the crust started slowly rebounding, but hasn't finished yet. So the ground is still rising, and gravity hasn't caught up. In other words, stand in Hudson Bay, and technically, you weigh a little less. Devon Island, Earth's Mars. In Nunavut, there's an island so barren and alien that NASA uses it as a training ground for Mars missions. Devon Island is the world's largest uninhabited island, a rocky desert of permafrost, canyons, and impact craters. It's so desolate that even bacteria struggle to survive. NASA scientists test rovers here because it's the closest match to the Martian surface anywhere on Earth. Standing there feels like stepping onto another planet, except the air is breathable for now. Pingos, frozen hills that grow. In the Mackenzie Delta, strange icy mounds rise from the ground. Over 1,000 of them. These are Pingos, hills formed when groundwater freezes and expands beneath permafrost, pushing the land upward. The largest one, Ibuk Pingo, towers nearly 50 meters high. Over time, Pingos grow, collapse, and reform. Living, breathing sculptures made of ice. Nowhere else on Earth has such a concentration of them. It's like the Arctic has goosebumps. Canada's longest coastline, 243,000 kilometers of wild. If there's one statistic that sums up Canada's scale, it's this. It has the longest coastline in the world. Over 243,000 kilometers of shoreline stretch across 3 oceans, the Pacific, Atlantic, and Arctic. That's so long, you could walk its entire length for 30 years straight and still not finish. It's dotted with over 52,000 islands, from tropical-looking beaches to icy fjords. This isn't just coastline, it's the edge of the world. Hans Island, the nicest border dispute ever. And finally, the friendliest international standoff on the planet. Hans Island, a tiny rock in the Arctic between Canada and Greenland, was claimed by both countries for decades. Instead of fighting, they played a game of diplomacy unlike any other. When Danish troops visited, they'd plant their flag and leave a bottle of schnapps. When Canadians came, they'd swap it for their flag and a bottle of Canadian whiskey. A border dispute fueled by good humor and shared drinks. Leave it to Canada and Denmark to make even geopolitics polite. And while that might sound like the perfect ending, the story of Hans Island doesn't stop there. In 2022, after years of light-hearted back and forth, the two nations finally settled the dispute once and for all, by literally splitting the island in half. It became the world's newest international border, born not out of conflict, but cooperation. Scientists now study the area together, monitoring Arctic wildlife and climate change, showing that even the smallest patch of rock can spark global friendship. The island itself has turned into a symbol of peaceful diplomacy, a reminder that even disagreements can be resolved with respect, and maybe a good drink. It's also one of the most remote borders on Earth, reachable only by helicopter or icebreaker, yet it stands as one of the most human stories in geography. Where others saw a fight over territory, Canada and Denmark saw an opportunity for unity, humor, and shared history. So, what do hills that burn forever, lakes that float you like a cork, and islands that mimic Mars all have in common? They're reminders that geography isn't just lines on a map. It's a living, unpredictable force that tells stories older than history itself. Canada may be cold, wide, and quiet in places, but its landscapes are anything but ordinary. From the frozen north to the mysterious Atlantic, from fiery cliffs to rolling deserts, this country is proof that the world's most unbelievable wonders often hide in plain sight. And if these 20 insane facts seem fake, that's just Canada being Canada. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Canada's wild geography, make sure to subscribe for more unbelievable stories from around the world. Drop a comment about which fact surprised you most. And share this video with someone who still thinks Canada's just snow and maple syrup.